Welcome everybody to the NFL Weekly Pickup Show. We're at week 3 on the Gruely True Sports Network, and of course, as always, we are brought to you by BetNow.eu. Use the promo code Truth100 to get a 100% discount on your first deposit. As I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in our gloating 49ers fan, Matt Andruscavage.
Gloating 49ers fan. Well, it's been a long time, so I'll take it.
Okay, and next up we have a non-gloating, which is really new. I've really never known a non-gloating Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but we've got Brian Schnidt. How you doing, Schmitty?
It's not good. Not good.
Okay, that's great. I would just like to bring up the fact that Matt leaves me by 5 games, correct, Matt?
That sounds about right.
Okay, and Schmitty is 6-26.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you pick point spread. That's why I avoid those things.
Smitty's back hurts, so now Mason Rudolph is going to come replace him. So, how about this, Brian?
Ouch.
How about this, Brian? Pittsburgh Steelers, Mason Rudolph's now the quarterback. Minkah Fitzpatrick playing safety or corner. I will say this. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers may be better off now than they were a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're better off. The trade, I don't know. You know, I like it in some ways. In other ways, you better be right on Mason Rudolph because you hate to lose that first-round pick. But, you know, I've been a big Mason Rudolph fan from the time they drafted him. I thought that, you know, he's a guy that's got some real talent, and you really did kind of see that in the preseason. He's really grown up. So I think the time is now. Look, if you're going to have a bad year, you know, let's get this guy from work, see what he can do. I think there's an opportunity to be better. I don't know that this is a playoff team at this point, but it definitely gives them an opportunity to be better.
All right. Matt, what was your big takeaway from week 3?
Well, despite being completely, attacked on the Cincinnati Bengals weekly show.
I almost picked the score.
I'm
I said
kidding,
62
Mike.
to 7. I wasn't that far off.
Yeah, that's true. You did upgrade it from 47 to 2. I'll say, the Bengal 49er game was a pleasant surprise, but I don't know. To me, the biggest takeaway probably was the Drew Brees injury. That completely changes the landscape of the NFC. There's a couple other things that happened.
The Cam Newton injury also. The NFC South is basically a cluster. Right now, I would favor Atlanta and Tampa Bay to win that division.
Yeah, I think the injuries, poor quarterback play like Kirk Cousins. I mean, the Vikings had a real chance to win the game, and Kirk Cousins just threw it away. We're just seeing some poor quarterback play, and then also some injuries. Schmitty mentioned Ben Roethlisberger, and I mean that's rough. It's never fun to lose your quarterback. And but now you're going to go with the rookie, and sometimes teams have to do that. But so there's just a lot of changes that seem to happen overnight, just in this particular week. Yeah,
there were a lot of things. Also, Daniel Jones has been announced as a starter over Eli Manning. What's your take on that, right, Matt?
Well, I went during the draft. I think we all on the draft show were a little surprised. And then we watched him in preseason, and he actually looked pretty good. I don't know how well he'll do, but at this point, it just looks like Eli Manning is done.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is the right thing to do. Maybe this breathes some life into that team because they haven't looked good so far, and so maybe this is the right thing to do. Just kind of like what Brian was saying. If you're not going to have a good year, get your young quarterback some reps. So it's probably the right move.
Well, and it gives you hope, Brian. As a Steeler fan, maybe you have a little more hope now. Maybe not necessarily for this year, but in the future. And as a Giants fan, the big thing for Eli Manning is the last 5 years that offensive line's been terrible. Now the offensive line is better, so it's not like you're throwing Daniel Jones to the Wolves here. He's got Saquon Barkley. He's going to get a couple receivers back here over the next couple weeks. Golden Tate, I think, comes back, after week 4. So I think it's a good move. Brian?
Yeah, I think you've got to, and the NFL doesn't seem to do this as much, so it's kind of refreshing. Is they'll sit on these quarterbacks, they won't make a move, I think sometimes you just got to come to a point where you've got to look at the future, and maybe you've got to sacrifice a year to do that. But the Giants have got to know, is this guy the future? They drafted him with the idea of him being the future. Got to see what he's got. You got to see what Rudolph has. This is the time to do it because look, you come to the end of the season and they don't show you that they're the guy. Then you've got to make moves, whether it's free agency, whether it's trade, whether it's draft. You've got to start to be able to make moves, but you're not going to know that when they're sitting holding a clipboard.
Yeah, and I think the NFL has changed from that, and it started probably late 90s, early 2000s where you started seeing that, because before you would see him, well, we're going to sit and let him watch. But my point with that, Brian, is I don't think you learn how to be an NFL quarterback from sitting on the sideline and watching somebody else do it, because you still don't get the speed of the game. And it's like Matt talked about Daniel Jones and how he played well in the preseason, but the speed of the game from preseason to the regular season is tenfold.
It is, and I think that's the real key is I don't think you learn anything from sitting on the sidelines. I think you've got to have that opportunity to be out there and see what you have. And, this is a time for them to do it. I think it's the right move for the Giants. Pittsburgh, it's unfortunate with the injury, but in a lot of ways, this may be a blessing. I know some fans don't see it that way, but this really could end up being a blessing.
Yeah. The other thing is Jalen Ramsey, who now wants out of Jacksonville. Matt, what's your take on that? And I think the perfect landing spot for Jalen Ramsey is Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Ramsey's great talent. But here's what I don't like about all this. We saw this with Minka Fitzpatrick, and maybe some other players. We saw this with Le'Veon Bell last year. We saw this with Antonio Brown. I'm starting to worry that this is going to turn into the NBA, where everybody that's on any kind of a bad team is just going to want out, and we're just going to have a bunch of super teams and a bunch of really bad teams. But I mean, I can't blame players for not wanting to play in a less than ideal environment. But I don't know. It's not something I'm looking forward to seeing. But yeah, I think Kansas City could really use someone like Jalen Ramsey. I mean, even with his baggage.
Well, I think his baggage is a bitch, but he's going to Kansas City where everybody has baggage. And
that's true.
When you look at Kansas City, New England has gotten better, especially, defensively, New England may be the best team in the NFL, and I think definitely the best defensive team in the AFC. And if the Chiefs are going to be able to play with the Patriots, they're going to have to be able to play defense at some point and run the ball. And I don't think right now they're going to be capable of running the ball. And defensively, once Antonio Brown gets into this offense with all the other weapons they have, Kansas City's not going to beat New England this year.
No, it doesn't look like that to me either. You watched Antonio Brown, even though it was against Miami, you just saw shades of what probably will be. I mean, the back shoulder fade, everything. You can just see how Brady and Brown is going to be a heck of a combo. And then you got Josh Gordon and Edelman. Patriots are going to be really tough to beat. You're right. Kansas City needs to somehow build up that defense in order to compete.
All right, let's go ahead and let's pick. I know people are just waiting to put all their money on our picks, except for Brian's. I'm going to call my shot right now. I'm hitting at least 9 or 10 this week, so everybody pay attention. First up, the Tennessee Titans will travel to Jacksonville to play the Jacksonville Jaguars behind Gardner Minshew. The Tennessee Titans are favored by 2 points, Brian. Who do you like?
Oh, I'm taking Tennessee in the points.
All right, so Matt, are we to the point right now where we both just pick opposite of Schmitty and let the chips fall where they may?
I would do that.
The worst idea I've heard.
I mean, Schmitty, but he could trick us because in his mind he could be thinking Jacksonville, but he's always wrong, so he's picking Tennessee. Maybe he's covering his bets. I'm going to go. I think Jacksonville's pretty good defensively. The Jalen Ramsey thing worries me. I tell you this: the over/under on this game is 40, and if it stays at 40,
it can't be much.
I would go under. I'm going to take.
I've already written my pick, so I'm not basing it on you, Mike.
I don't care if you do or not, man. I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to take the 2 points. I think this is a toss-up. I don't think either team scores points. It's going to be a low-scoring, close game, so maybe it's a 1-point game and I win either way. Matt, what do you got?
I got Tennessee to win to cover those 2 points. I don't know. I just don't really like Jacksonville right now, and like you said, the Jalen Ramsey thing kind of concerns me.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern. Without the Jalen Ramsey thing, I think it would be all right with this. And both teams are coming off tough games. Tennessee's was at home now. So next up, the Denver Broncos, who absolutely blew it against the Chicago Bears.
Oh, my God.
Well, now to go to Lambeau Field to play the Green Bay Packers. The Denver Broncos are getting 8 points. I'm going to take the Packers and give the 8 points here, Matt. I just don't think Denver can score enough points here to keep this game close.
Yeah, I got the same pick. I just don't see how Denver puts up points. Green Bay's defense has improved. I don't think they're, a Super Bowl team like everyone around here is saying, but they are better. I definitely see, some of those free agent pickups have they look pretty good. Some of those draft picks look pretty good. They are better. I just kind of, there are some things about the team I'm still not quite sure about, but hey, they're 2-0 and they beat 2 division opponents. A lot of people thought they'd be 0-2 right now. So I just don't see where Denver scores. That's their problem. They just don't have a lot.
Has there ever been a year where you lived in Wisconsin where at some point every Packer fan didn't think this was the year they were winning the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah. Even the 4-12 year where Favre threw 30 interceptions, they thought they were going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they got the 3-9, and 7-9 could still get us in. And if we get
That's
in,
right.
we're going to win it. Brian, do you agree with us, or are you going the other way?
I'm definitely going with the Packers.
Ooh, that hurts us.
That Denver game was that boy how to blow a game. That should be a tutorial on that because they really blew that game.
All right, next up, the Detroit Lions, who came off a huge win against the LA Chargers at home, will now travel to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 6.5, but there's injuries all over the place here, Matt. Who do you got?
Well, what injuries are you referring to?
Well,
I'm trying to think.
Up. I watched them getting hurt.
Who are you talking about?
For the Eagles.
Detroit or Philly? Okay, the Eagles.
Yeah.
I don't know that I noticed anything.
Schmitty, you didn't see any injuries in the Eagles game against the Falcons?
I wasn't watching the whole game, but I saw enough of it. I don't remember injuries.
All right,
in this game.
Guys, never mind. There's no injuries. Make your pick, Matt. Everybody's fine in Philadelphia. There are no injuries.
Right.
Well, Deshaun Jackson left the game early, which is
you're right. I do remember Deshaun Jackson, but I don't remember anything else.
And I think they lost a lineman also. But the Deshaun Jackson thing is a pretty big something.
Yeah. I'm going to take I'm going to say it's a close game, but I'll just take I'm just going to give the points. I'll take Detroit with the points.
All right. I'm taking Detroit, and I'm taking the points also. And I think there's a chance the Lions could possibly pull the upset here, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Lions.
I thought I'd be the only one taking the Lions.
No, I'm going to take the Lions on this one.
All right, next up, the Baltimore Ravens will travel to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are 7-point favorites in this game. The interesting stat that I got from Bobby Sheridan from the Sheridan Report today is first 5 weeks of the season, the last 12 times the Kansas City Chiefs have covered the spread. The Chiefs come into this game. I'm taking the Ravens. I'm taking the Ravens in 7. And don't be surprised if maybe the Ravens win this game, Brian.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Sheridan. I'm gonna take Kansas City.
All right. My thing about this game, Matt, is with the Ravens, you have a good defense. Kansas City hasn't really played against a good defense. They're missing Tyreek Hill. LaShawn McCoy is hurt. I don't see how they generate any run game against the Ravens. And if they don't, against John Harbaugh, I think John Harbaugh is a better coach than Andy Reid. I think John Harbaugh can out-coach him. And if you remember in the last month of the season last year, Baltimore went to Kansas City and probably should have won the game and blew it at the end. That's why I'm taking the Ravens and giving the points. Or taking the Ravens and the points.
Everything you said makes perfect sense if this was late in the season or a playoff game. Because it's all about when you play a team. Kansas City is always red hot at home early in the season. Later in the year, I think you're going to be dead on if these two teams meet again. But right now, I think Kansas City can generate enough offense to win this game. And they've got Damian Williams. They've got they got their quarterback. They got Sammy Watkins, who's all of a sudden is looking great. So
you got Hardman.
I just like Mahomes right now, and I think somehow Andy Reid is going to make life difficult for the Ravens offense. I just don't see it rolling quite the way it has been. I mean, after all, it was against Arizona and Miami. So I'm not saying Baltimore's not for real. I'm just saying we don't really know quite what they got. I'm going to take Kansas City.
I agree completely. But the fact that Kansas City, I think they're going to have trouble running the ball all year. And defensively, they might be a little bit better, but I don't think they're shutting a bunch of people down. Next up are the Cincinnati Bengals, who have the worst front office organization, the worst fans, and the worst offensive line, and the worst linebackers in all the NFL. They just suck, and they're getting 6 points against the Buffalo Bills, Matt.
Yeah, it's after week one, I genuinely was concerned about the game going in. I didn't, I thought it was a toss up. I thought a lot of stuff could happen, but I don't know what's going on exactly in Cincinnati. They just didn't. It looked like Kyle Shanahan
Smith starts at tackle.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
Does Bobby Hart. That's what goes on in Cincinnati.
But to me, it looked to me like Kyle Shanahan was playing 4D chess and the Bengals were trying to figure out which color checkers they were.
No, they can't play checkers yet because their head coach is like 9 years old.
Right.
He doesn't even know what a double jump is.
And Buffalo is surprisingly 2-0. Their defense looks good, and they're getting just enough offense. So I'm going to take Buffalo at home to win and to cover.
I'm going to take Buffalo, and I'm going to give the points because the Bengals suck ass. How about you, Brian?
I'm going to take Buffalo. I agree. The Bengals suck ass.
Hey, now, so do the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know what? The Steelers and Bengals are going to play on Monday Night Football, and they're both probably going to be 0-3.
I know.
Yeah, that should be exciting. Hey, maybe we can beat you once, but we probably won't. It'll probably end up in a tie. Next up, the Atlanta Falcons will travel to Indianapolis to play the Indianapolis Colts. The Atlanta Falcons are getting 1.5 points. Colts are a 1.5 favorite. Jacoby Brissett has played really well. Matt Ryan played well, except for maybe throwing the ball to the wrong colored jersey 3 times in the last game. Brian, who do you got?
I'm going to take the Falcons. I'm going to take the Falcons on this.
All right. Matt?
No, I don't feel good now because I got the Falcons.
So do I. So we're all screwed. No. I'm
yeah, 1.5. I think the Falcons can win this.
Okay, you're both going Falcons. I think the Colts actually have the better roster. And I've been like rotating back and forth on this game. I'll probably have an entirely different take when I pick the game straight up with Anthony on Friday on the NFL show.
But for now, you got the Falcons, right?
Not sure. Miny, mo. Let's see. I'm going to go with the Colts at home.
All
it's
right.
Pretty much a pick-em game. I think the Colts have the better offensive line. Jacoby Brissett's been playing well. T.Y. Hilton's a good player. Defensively, they're all right. The thing that worries me is I think the Atlanta Falcons are better defensively than what people give them credit for. But I'm going to go with the Colts and the home team. That pick was for Steve Risley, of course, who's a Colts fan. Next up, The Oakland Raiders travel to Minnesota in a rematch of Super Bowl 11, which was won 32-14 by the Raiders. Matt, do you think that Super Bowl 11 has anything to do? Do you think there's any vindication here for the Vikings? You think they're pumped up watching film of Super Bowl 11?
If Fran Tarkenton is anywhere near the facility, they could be.
Okay. But he's not, and Kirk Cousins is actually in the uniform, so that does change things.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's 8
Didn't
points.
really consider that.
That's a lot of points to give.
So 8 points, huh? Well, I don't think Kirk Cousins is that great, but I really don't like the Oakland Raiders, so I'm going to take the Vikings to cover.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Vikings to cover also. I don't think the Raiders are very good, and you lose Abrams, who may be your best DB. I like Joseph running the ball, or Jacobs running the ball. I think Derek Carr's solid. I just don't think he's got enough weapons, Brian. I'm going with the Vikings to give it the points.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings. I'm not a real big Raiders fan anyway right now, so I just don't think they're very good.
Why aren't you a real big Raiders fan, Schmitty?
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. And you said right now, does that suggest
mean you used to be?
1 point?
Yeah.
Right.
I used to have more respect for them than I do now. I'm not a big Raiders fan.
Yeah, when they were like beating
But you're sort of a Raider fan.
Good. Well, everybody's got to like the logo at least. I got a Raiders hat, as everybody commented on when I posted the picture on Facebook. It's just because
I was surprised by that.
The logo is cool as hell. Plus, they're the Oakland Raiders. They're not the San Francisco 49ers, which sounds like a girls' team. Next up, we've got the New York Jets. Will travel to the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots are favored by 23.5 points,
Good
Brian.
God.
Oh, dear Lord. Yeah, we'll take Patriots.
Matt?
I am taking Jets with the points. I think the Patriots, now, of course, they could cover. And they won 43-0 this time. This reminds me of 2007 when they played the Jets, and I thought they were going to blow them out by like 100, and they only won by like 10. I think it's going to be one of these games where they beat them, but maybe it's only by 20.
I don't know, because my problem with the Jets is, from watching them last night, New England's defense is better than Cleveland's, and they only scored 3 points. I don't think they can score more than 10, and I don't think they can limit New England under 35. I hate to do this, and just a hint, there's 2-point spreads like this, and I'm giving the points both times because I just don't see how the other two teams can score. So I'm going to take the Patriots and give the points with Brian Schnidt.
All right.
Dooms me. Next up, the Miami Dolphins at the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, boy.
You got to think, Matt, that play by Leon Lett in the snow on Thanksgiving Day in 1993 has to be in the back of the Cowboys' minds. The Cowboys are 22-point favorites over the Miami Dolphins. 22.
My God.
Should anybody be less than a 30-point favorite over the Miami Dolphins at this point?
Yeah, I think Dallas opens the game 23-0.
Yeah, in the first 2 minutes.
Right. This one I'm going to take Dallas with the points.
Yeah, I'm just going to take Dallas, Brian.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Yeah, I can't believe I just gave the points on 2 games in the NFL where the point spread's 22 or more.
I can't believe there are 2 games with the point spread 22 or more. This isn't a Super Bowl.
It's going to be like college football.
Right.
All right, next up, we have a decent-sized point spread as the New York Giants will travel to Tampa Bay to battle the Buccaneers. Of course, Daniel Jones will be playing quarterback. The Buccaneers are favored by 7, Brian.
7.
The Bucs are favored by 7?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not going to go with the Bucs on this one. Not going to go with the Bucs.
You're going to go with the Giants then, or are you just going to be neutral?
I'll go with the Giants. I think new quarterback. They'll have he'll come out and have a good game, and he'll save my butt and make me look good this week.
All right, my concern is this: new quarterback. Tampa Bay's defensive line is pretty good. They're going to get after him, and he's still missing some wide receiver weapons. I'm going to take Tampa Bay, and I'm going to give the 7, Brian or Matt.
Gosh. I'm torn here because, I think Tampa Bay actually has a pretty good front seven, and I like Vernon Hargreaves. It's just Jameis Winston. He just concerns me. But
he made no mistakes last game.
I know. He played pretty well. Yeah, all right. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll take Tampa Bay with the points.
All right, plus Schmitty's 6-26, so you can.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, next up, the New Orleans Saints travel to Seattle to play the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are favored by 4.5. I'm taking the Seahawks because
4.5. That's it.
Yeah. My concern here is the New Orleans defense. Really, I think Seattle's going to be able to score some points on them. I think Seattle's defensive front's pretty good. They can pressure whoever's playing quarterback. So
yeah.
I'm going to go with it. I'm going to take Seattle, and I'm going to give the points, Matt.
Me too. I don't see New Orleans putting up a lot of points, and I think their defense is just going to be gassed. Like last week, I thought they played pretty well defensively.
Yeah, they got the middle of the third quarter. Yeah,
right. They got screwed out of that touchdown, but then by the time the end of the third quarter came, they'd been on the field so long, and they just looked so worn out in the fourth quarter.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Seattle. For the next 6 weeks, I think New Orleans will struggle a little bit.
Well, I think they were already struggling anyways. I mean, defensively, I think they were having trouble. I think the offensive line wasn't playing as well. I don't think Breeze is Breeze anymore, maybe. So I think there's bigger issues in New Orleans, which will pave the way once Jason Garrett screws up a really good Dallas Cowboys team in the playoffs for Sean Payton to maybe be the head coach in Dallas.
Interesting.
Next up, the Houston Texans will travel to L.A. to play the Chargers. The Texans are getting 3 points. I'm taking the Texans and the points here. I really like Deshaun Watson. I think Houston's defense is good. And the Chargers are just banged up. And Phillip Rivers, I don't know if he's on the downside of his career, which he almost has to be with his age. But I'm going with the Texans here to get this, Brian. Yeah, I'm going to take the 3 points.
Yeah, I want to take the Texans as well. I kind of agree with you about Phillip Rivers. I think he's still a good quarterback, but I think he's definitely on that downward slope.
Yeah, so am I. All right, Matt.
Yeah, I'm going to take Houston with the points too because more so to me the Chargers defense is just so depleted, especially in that secondary. They really could use Melvin Gordon right now, and I'm just waiting for Keenan Allen to turn an ankle or something. It just seems to happen every year. Houston, they look pretty good to me. I mean, it'd be better if they had Lamar Miller, but I like Deshaun Watson, and I think Anthony Hopkins, dear God, DeAndre Hopkins is as good as any receiver in the league.
So you think he's better than Anthony Hopkins as a wide receiver?
Well, that's the only guy who might be better.
All right. Next up, did Brian pick this? Brian?
Yeah, I don't know. Did you pick it, Brian?
No, I don't think he did.
I did.
How did I miss it too?
Well, tell it again so Matt can write it down.
What game were we picking now? Because now I said who it was and went on about my business.
The Texans at the Chargers. The Texans.
Right.
Yeah, I took the Texans because I said I agree that Rivers is on downward slope.
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
I just heard that.
All right.
Jesus.
Next up, Brian, I'll let you go first and see if you can
all
home with
getting
this
old
pick
here.
home. The Pittsburgh Steelers at Matt's vaunted San Francisco 49ers.
Wanted.
What's the point spread?
7. The Steelers are getting 7.
What?
You think it should be more?
Really? No.
Whatever.
Yeah. Take 49ers.
So he's all right with the point spread. Matt?
I'm going to take them as well, but
come on.
Thought...
You can't. No. Now you're feigning innocence on something where your team is actually pretty good, and now you're going to try to act like they're not. They're 7-point favorites. I think they should be like 10-point favorites in this game.
I was expecting 4.
Well, you got 7. So we're all going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. But remember this. In 1984, the Pittsburgh Steelers upset the San Francisco 49ers and destroyed a perfect season.
That's true. One
So,
play away.
Yep. So maybe the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo know about that. They're going to go exact revenge.
They are fired up. They've been talking about it all week here on Tuesday.
Okay. Sunday night, the Los Angeles Rams go to Cleveland to battle the Browns. The Browns are getting 3 points at home, Matt.
What?
Yep.
The Browns are favored?
No, the Browns are getting 3 points.
Oh, getting. Home. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm like, there's no way. Yeah, I'm going to take the Rams. The Rams are, I don't think they're playing particularly great, but they're good enough, and they seem to play pretty well in those fourth quarters. They're still a very talented team. I don't know how well they'll do down the stretch exactly. Will they be a Super Bowl? Will they be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl again? I don't know, but against Cleveland, come on, they gotta beat Cleveland.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, I'll take the Rams. And I didn't watch a lot of it. I watched some of it, but I wasn't really overly impressed with the Jets, and I really wasn't overly impressed with the Browns last night.
It was a horrible game.
So
bad game.
Oh,
yuck.
Yeah. So, I definitely going to go with the Rams.
All right, I'm going with the Rams also, just because I think defensively. That defensive line, I think, is going to eat the Cleveland Browns offensive line alive. Next up, the Chicago Bears are favored by 4 points at Washington against the Redskins. I'll go first. I think Case Keenum has played fairly well. I think Mitch Trubisky is terrible. I think the Redskins flat out win this game, but I'm going to take those 4 points too, Brian.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Redskins as well. Neither team is real impressive, so you probably go either way with this game.
All righty, Matt.
I also have been impressed with the Redskins, but I think the Bears rebound and play a little bit better and win in Washington.
They won last week. They're going to rebound.
Yeah, I know.
They rebounded from a win when they lose.
Won because they won because of a really bad roughing the passer call. That play doesn't happen, they don't win.
But it doesn't matter how you win, as long as you win.
Yeah, I think they win this week. The Redskins have played well at times, but good Lord, they're still the Redskins.
That's mean. All right, let's do this, because I've heard this done a bunch today. And me and Anthony Servino did it on the, what do you call it? The Grueling Truth NFL show, which is noon every day. We'll be on tomorrow to rank all 32 quarterbacks that started this past week with Sam Teets, who writes an article that I never agree with. So we're going to bring him on the show so I can try to argue with him, because I really like to do stuff like that. So give me right now from your top 5 teams in the Matt Andruscavage and the Brian Schnidt power rankings. I mean, Matt, who would you go with at number 5?
Ooh, all right. Give me a second here. I know who my 1 is. I'm going to say the Dallas Cowboys.
At number 5? I think that's a atrocious pick. Brian?
I would probably go with the Rams at number 5 right now.
I would go with the San Francisco 49ers at number 5 right now.
I love the sound of that.
I think this is a really good team. I put money on them on a futures bet a few months ago. I told Matt that, so I'm not making this up. And I think this is a team that can make a deep run into the playoffs if Garoppolo stays healthy. What's the word on Staley?
Joe Staley is out 6 to 8 weeks. He's got a hairline fractured fibula. They're not putting him on IR, but he's going to miss 6 to 8 weeks. It's definitely a question mark what they're going to do at left tackle.
If they play him at left tackle, he'll still be better than Andre Smith.
I think they're going to have to do a lot of pretty good out scheming of defenses, get the ball out quick, and do a lot of chipping with the running backs, shift tight ends around and stuff. But once they get through that and they get him back, they should be all right.
All right, number 4, I've got the Los Angeles Rams at 4. I think the defense is really good again. I think them being able to make a Super Bowl run or to win a Super Bowl as always will hinge on Jared Goff. And I think this, as the year goes on, I think the 49ers will be better than the Rams. And if they were in the NFC West still, they'd win that division. The Niners would. Brian, who do you got at number 4?
I've got the 49ers at 4 right now because I kind of agree with you. I think that they will get better as the year goes on as long as their quarterback stays healthy, they stay healthy overall. I think they'll be definitely a real strong team come playoff time.
All right, Matt.
All right, I'll put the Niners at 4.
Oh, here we go. It's him again. I put him at 5, and then they make me, I don't know about that. And then it's like, I got him at number 4.
You talked me into it. I would have had him at like 6 or 7, but I can't. You guys can't put him at 4 and me not have him in the top 5.
Yeah, we can, because then you would just be honestly picking instead of through your.
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm shuffling through teams trying to think of who is 2-0 right now, who is playing pretty well, and I've kind of got it. So I'm just for the sake of it, I'm just going to throw the Niners at 4.
All right, Brian, who do you got at number 3?
Number 3 is, I almost want to make it a tie, but number 3, I'm gonna put the Dallas Cowboys at number 3 right now.
That's terrible, just like Matt's number 5 was. I've got the Kansas City Chiefs at number 3. I still think the defense is not that good. They can't run the ball. I think their offense is going to keep them between 3 and 5 all year, and then the New England Patriots will eventually smack the crap out of them in the playoffs like they did last year. Matt, number 3.
Yeah, that's where I got Kansas City too. I got my top 3 figured out. I got Kansas City at 3. They're going to have problems on the defensive side of the ball at the end, but their offense is still really good. When did they get Hill back?
I think it was 4 to 6 weeks. Is that right, Schmidt?
Oh, wow.
It was either 2 to 4 or 4 to 6. I can't remember which.
I think it was 4 to 6.
Yeah, well, it should be 4 to 6 years, and he should be in jail. Number 2, Brian.
My number 2 is going to be Kansas City. But, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, but right now I still I like what they do offensively, and I still think they're going to be definitely pretty good come playoff time. It's just the defense is going to be the concern.
All right, number 2 for me, I've got the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're the real deal. You get Ezekiel Elliott running the ball. I think Dak Prescott's a top 5 quarterback. I think the offense has helped big time. As long as Jason Garrett doesn't screw it up, I think this could be the Cowboys' year. Matt, what do you got at 2?
I got the Rams at 2. Until they get knocked off, they're still the Rams.
How about this, though? If you were to have a Super Bowl between the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes and the Rams with Jared Goff, who would you bet on?
Well, I just don't think the Chiefs have the defense, so I'd probably have to go with the Rams.
I think they could outscore them because I don't think the Rams are going to have the offense when it gets down to it. Number 1, we can all just agree it's the New England Patriots, correct?
Yeah, I had Miami, but I'll change it to New England.
You can go with Miami if you want. You really can. And also, in Minkah Fitzpatrick's defense, I can see why he'd want out of there since they traded everybody that was there with him. Jalen Ramsey needs to shut the hell up, though, because the Jacksonville Jaguars, as they showed against the Houston Texans, aren't that far away from being a playoff team. I think Jalen Ramsey just doesn't like the fact that he doesn't get his way all the time with Doug Marrone, which we saw on the sideline the other day, Brian.
Yeah. Again, we're seeing a lot more of this, big baby status in the NFL, and that's just another example.
Yeah, but we see the big baby status in everyday life anymore, too. And I think this is what we get because of that.
Sure is.
I mean, it's sad what we have become as a nation of National Football League fans.
That's right.
Joe Mixon made the comment since the 14 Bengal fans that were at the Bengals-Niner game.
There were that many?
12 or 14. There was 20 Niner fans. I mean, the thing that's sad is when you watch a Bengals game, it always looks like, doesn't matter how well the other team travels, there's always like 15,000 empty seats right in the middle of the stadium in the best seats. The end zones are usually empty up top. I don't know the last time I watched a Cincinnati Bengals game where the network actually showed and panned the entire stadium. They just showed a lower bowl and act like that's what the crowd is.
Yeah.
So, it's sad. It's real sad.
Is Joe Kelly going to be all right?
Yeah, Joe will be fine. I try to tell Joe every year, we're the Bengals, it's never going to get any better, and he never wants to listen, and he comes on all excited on the show. And week 1 this year, he wasn't that excited. I had him talked off the edge of the cliff, and then he jumps right back on the cliff once the Bengals looked mildly entertaining in week 1. And I tried to warn everybody, the offensive line is terrible. A 12-year-old's the head coach.
The play that I would have been most mad about as a Bengals fan had to be the second touchdown when they got pressure on Garoppolo and he threw that quick screen to Mostert, and he just ran right through Dre Kirkpatrick as if he was just standing there.
Dre Kirkpatrick and Sean Williams are just little baby back bitches. I mean,
that was horrible.
There was a play in the second half where you guys ran like a jet sweep or something. And Sean Williams, number 36, who's the safety, actually ran across the field away, for some reason, away from the jet sweep. And he got all the way to the middle of the line before he realized the ball was going the other way. He jogged down the field where if he'd have sprinted at any point, he could have helped make the tackle. And then right when the guy's making the tackle, he's up there, and then all of a sudden, he just backs off and watches the guy make the tackle. So Sean Williams shouldn't even be an NFL football player. He probably shouldn't even be classified as a grown man anymore. What do you think, Brian?
Well, I agree with a lot of things, but right now I've got my own problems because I'm now comparing the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yep, that's how it works, buddy. Everything comes full circle.
I feel like I've now come to your house and we're just gonna sit on the couch and bitch about our teams now.
Schmitty's been to my house and sat on my couch before.
And we bitched about our team, so it wouldn't be like it's not happened before.
No, we bitched about the team we were actually coaching at that point, I think.
Yeah, probably. Well,
yeah, because that was the night before we had to go to Freedom Hall in Louisville and play a game without a quarterback.
Yeah. By God, if we pulled that off for half.
So what's your honest opinion, Brian, for Sunday? Do you think Mason Rudolph, how capable is he for this game?
I think he'll play well.
I watched him only for a little bit. I don't know that much about him.
I think he'll play well. I think he will play well. My concern isn't so much him; it's the fact that there haven't been much of a running game. Receiver-wise, just not at all there. So I mean, he played well, but I mean, he did the smart thing. Threw the football to the tight end, which is about the only receiver right now that's done anything. So, I think he'll play well, but man, I mean, there's a lot more problems than just the quarterback spot. They've got to be able to run the football, and I'll be honest, this may be Tomlin's last year.
Well, you're hoping, but we know it won't be because the Steelers will usually give their coaches at least 1 or 2 really bad years before they fire them, don't they?
Yeah.
They don't fire a lot of coaches, though.
No, they really don't. But
you guys have 4?
Yeah, but when your coaches are Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, I mean, you're usually pretty good for about 30, 40 years.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do at the end of the year. I mean, I still have some hope that they can play well, but, obviously there's going to be I don't see them making the playoffs this year. I really do not see them making the playoffs this year. And I know some Steeler fans that still want to carry on that hope, and I'd love to be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong either. But when the Steeler fans look at your record on the Pick'em show, it's got to make their hearts a little bit warmer.
Yeah, that is true.
It took a few seconds before it kicked in there, didn't it, Brian?
It did. It did take a minute.
Oh, hell. All right, guys. Any final parting words, Brian?
Oh, there's no joy in Mudville tonight, so
Why not?
I can't really say anything out.
Oh, there's joy in
We're 2
San
weeks into the-
Francisco, though.
Well, if they can
Hell,
start,
yeah.
if they can get out to that 3-0 start for the first time since 98, that would be really nice. But we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to hear that. Actually, it would be now since it would pay off very well for me. At
Right.
65-1 on a $20 bet. So, too bad.
We
I
are
didn't
here
see
for
that
you, Mike.
feed.
We want to make you money.
I'll tell you what. It doesn't matter. Even with that money, I still hate you all because of what you did to my team. Because we all know the better team didn't win those 2 Super Bowls.
We always let you believe that.
Because it's true. You know it's true. As Milli Vanilli would say, girl, you know it's true. Now, if you look at the Niners' schedule,
Yeah.
this ain't real tough either. You got Pittsburgh. You should win that game. You got Cleveland. You win that game. The Rams, we'll give it a loss just because you got to lose somebody. Redskins, Panthers, Cardinals, Seahawks at home, Cardinals, Packers at home, at the Ravens, at the Saints, which may not be as scary as it used to be. I mean, I think you're looking at 12-4 to 13-3 here, Matt.
If they stay healthy and they get Staley back and they don't have all these injury problems like they've had the last 5 years, they got a shot. That's
All right.
definitely true.
I'm done kissing your ass, Matt. So we're gonna wrap the show up now.
I'm just taking this is my probably the 1 week this will ever go my way. So I'm taking it.
What? Well, you're the one that always said I just picked against your team, to be an asshole. I can tell you this though. When I told you Solomon Thomas was a bad draft pick, I was right.
I can't disagree.
All right.
He's definitely not.
And see, Brian, Matt was just saying, it's just because you don't like my team. And I said, no, it's because he sucks. So he did make a tackle in the game against the Bengals, though.
He did have a sack. It was only for a 1-yard loss. He's made some good plays, but he's also a number 3 overall pick.
Well,
we are looking for more than that.
You know you're not very good when the one time you get a sack, everybody just goes apeshit over it on the TV. All right, guys. Tomorrow at noon, me and Anthony Servino will be with the NFL show. We will have Samuel Tietz, whose article will be on thegruelingtruth.com tomorrow, ranking all the quarterbacks. He ranks them weekly, 1 through 32, and he's going to come on, and I'm going to bitch him out because he's a young guy, so he didn't really know a whole lot yet. I'm just kidding.
You got to give him a little baptism by fire there, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, we'll attack him. He'll probably never write for us again. And if there's anybody else...
If he's from Wisconsin, that's true. If he's not from Wisconsin, he might have a shot.
Oh, yeah, Wisconsin people quit all the time on me. The only reason you haven't quit on me is because you're a 49ers fan.
That's right.
So, all right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I want to remind everybody, go to betnow.eu, use the promo code TRUTH100. Also, make sure you listen to us every day, Monday through Friday at noon on the NFL show. Join us on the NFL Pick'em show every Tuesday night at 10 o'clock. And tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, I got to figure out the order of this. At 7 o'clock, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show with Joe Kelly, myself, Ty Robbins. 8 o'clock, we got the Indiana Football Weekly Shows. We can talk about that epic clash with the Ohio State Buckeyes. At 9 o'clock, myself, CFL legend Robert Drummond, and a legend in his own mind, Brian Schnidt, will be on to talk CFL football. I'm also a legend in my own mind, so you get 3 legends all at one. And at 9:30, we'll have the College Football Weekly Pick'em show. Sound good, Brian?
That'll work.
All right, Brian, go put the dog out so he can take a pee. We will be back tomorrow, off and on all day. Make sure you check us out at thegruelingtruth.com. You can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, and like 250 other places. Just type in The Grueling Truth on your computer, and you'll find us. So, for Matt Andruscavage, Brian Schnidt, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.